Welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping straight into a highly specific piece of professional AV hardware today.
Right, pulling directly from our HDTV supply sources.
Yeah, exactly. We're unpacking the B-stock Thor Broadcast H-THUNDER-2 modulator. And I know, that name is a total mouthful.
It really is.
But our mission today is to show you why this is actually the secret plug-and-play engine that powers those custom in-house TV channels you see in places like large hotels, schools, hospitals, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the hardware doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Whenever you walk into a facility, turn on a monitor and see a really crisp internal broadcast loop that relies on this exact tier of localized distribution equipment.
So looking at the specs for this Thunder 2 unit, it's basically taking dual standard HDMI inputs, so like a DVD player or a standard cable box, and it pushes out a localized TV broadcast over a coax cable.
Right.
But how is this single, relatively compact box replacing what used to require an entire server rack?
The secret there is the internal hardware encoding. It handles all the MPEG-2 processing right on the chipset itself.
Which is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, MPEG-2 might sound like legacy tech to anyone who is used to modern web streaming codecs.
Yeah.
But in the closed-loop RF broadcast world, it is the absolute gold standard for rock-solid stability.
Because it just works.
It just works. It encodes full HD video, 1080p at 60 frames per second, with incredibly low latency. We're talking 50 to 100 milliseconds.
Which means a facility avoids the absolute nightmare of ripping out drywall to run new IP network cables. You just inject this signal straight into the existing coaxial infrastructure that's already inside the walls.
It's a massive logistical advantage for whoever is setting it up. You bypass the local area network entirely.
Oh, right. So you aren't fighting for bandwidth with the building's Wi-Fi or the administrative network.
Exactly. The hardware handles the signal conversion autonomously. You don't need a whole IT team to babysit some complex software encoder just to keep the campus welcome channel on the air.
That makes a lot of sense. And looking at the sourcing strategy here, there is a very specific financial aha moment for you as a buyer.
Yeah, the pricing is really interesting on this one.
Because a lot of AV bids just default to the newest IP-based gear, which is great, but it's often total overkill. This particular model we're looking at is a B-stock or open box refurbished unit. So instead of the $4,495 MSRP, this listing drops it to $1,270.75.
A pretty solid discount.
And they bundle it with a free $189 Maximus Light 4K camera that plugs right into the modulator.
That bundle essentially makes it an out-of-the-box live feed setup. But we should explain why this specific model is positioned this way. The lower price point isn't just because it's B-stock.
Right, there's a technical reason.
Yeah. It's more affordable than Thor's H1, 2, or 4 product lines for a very deliberate reason. It relies strictly on CATV RF output. It modulates each program on its own separate frequency, but it deliberately lacks an IPTV output.
Meaning there is zero internet streaming capability built into this box. But if you are designing a system where you only need to push video across a closed-loop coaxial system, that limitation is actually a massive strategic advantage. You aren't paying a premium for networking hardware you are never going to use.
It's highly targeted purchasing. What this deep dive really reveals is a broader trend right now in the AV industry. Commercial-grade broadcast specs are becoming accessible because manufacturers are offering these stripped-down, laser-focused units.
When you combine that specialized engineering with smart refurbished pricing, professional tiered distribution is suddenly viable for much smaller organizations.
It completely changes the math for localized media.
It really does. And since this hardware essentially allows anyone to spin up a private, high-definition television channel over standard coax lines, it leaves you with something pretty fascinating to think about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How could this localized closed-loop technology be utilized to build hyper-local, independent media networks within massive apartment complexes or community centers? It's a whole new broadcasting capability sitting right there in the existing wiring.